another episode of the YS channel presents Bad Acting 101. Today we're going to focus on John Wayne, primarily on his portrayal as Genghis Khan in 1956's The Conqueror. And then we'll also talk about some other John Wayneisms as well. Is he a good actor, bad actor, overrated, or all the above? And we'll touch on all that here in just a second.
You return empty-handed from the chase, my son?
Not so, fine gazelle.
Now we seek bigger game, Hunlin.
How many markets did you observe?
30? No more.
We'll take twice that number. Kolbagurchi and Sabaya.
Well, for those of you who don't know about the movie The Conqueror, producer Harry and aviation mogul Harry Hughes produced the movie, and he severely miscast John Wayne as the infamous Mongol conqueror. And if you've been able to see clips of this online, the results are hilariously bad because John Wayne is also not the only miscast actor in the movie. Like, what should be like primarily an Asian cast is nothing but white people, and especially white people that had never been in that area during that time frame. And
Exactly.
then on top of that, the film most of that movie within range of nuclear. That's how John Wayne died.
Well, that's dark and morbid. So yeah, it's my counterpart was saying. Yeah, pretty much everybody in that movie was fucking miscast. Like, come on, John Wayne is Genghis Khan. Like, come on, that's as bad as I forget which James Bond movie it was, but it had like Sean Connery put on some eye makeup to make him look like a Japanese person.
That was only lived twice. The difference between that movie and The Conqueror, when they were filming in Japan, Japan's top studio, Toho Studios, assisted with the production, so they were cool with it. Whereas this was just The Conqueror was just a gross misrepresentation of Asian culture to the highest degree.
Don't get me wrong, we're not like, these diversity like crybabies. Like, oh my god, there's not enough representation in these movies. That's not who we are. However, it needs to be pointed out. And like stupid shit like The Conqueror's made, like, come on. And then John Wayne had the audacity to take the role. And then, surprise, like, granted, this is in the 50s. So it's a lot easier to do damage control than it is nowadays for stuff like this. But yeah, and we'll have the clips, whatever we can find, we'll post them in Bad Acting 101, but Wayne being John Wayne, pretending to be Genghis Khan. That's all it is.
Well, as you said, this movie was made in the 1950s. During like the mid 1930s, basically to the end of the 1960s, most Hollywood films, when it came to casting the right ethnic background for their characters in the movies, this is simply hire white people, don makeup on them to make them brown, yellow, or take their eyes shut or something. Whatever was required to make that right person, that ethnic background, the character they're playing. Part of this has to do with the Hays Code, which pretty much ban minorities from actually portraying themselves correctly on film, believe it or not.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and then the rest of it was just plain old ignorance from the studio system.
That is very true. However, our primary focus here is about John Wayne himself.
Yeah.
Again,
Yes.
The fact that he just took this role, how would you put it nicely? In a lot of ways, he's iconic, especially for American cinema, and as an American, celebrity and personality and all that. He made a lot of really good movies back in the day. However, it needs to be said, he's made a lot of stinkers also back in the day. I forget how many movies that guy's been in. I know it's well over 100. But there's a saying in wrestling. You know who Ric Flair is, right?
Yes.
The famous wrestler Bret Hart said it. I don't know if he said it in an interview or was in his autobiography, but he said, If you see one Ric Flair match, you've pretty much seen them all.
Oh.
Now, that same concept, I mean, let's be honest, like, Ric Flair does this whole, woo, whole strut thing. And then every match ends with some kind of cheating or some, like, heel tactic and or the figure four. Like, you see, I mean, don't get me wrong, Ric Flair has a lot of wrestling ability. But how that applies to John Wayne's acting, he's made so, like, just the Western movies he's made.
Mm-hmm.
We could grab random clips from a lot of them, and I guarantee you couldn't tell which movie it's from.
Well, John Wayne did mostly two types of movies. Either he did westerns or he did war movies.
Mm-hmm.
And on rare occasion, he did something else. For example, that one movie from the early 50s where he plays an Irish boxer. If I forget the name. Dad loved that movie. Fuck. What's the name of that movie?
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, that's how bad our memories are. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah. But some of his better well-known movies are like True Grit, The Searchers.
Yeah.
And even The Shootist. I think it's called The Shootist. It's the one he won an Oscar for.
The Shootist was his final film as well.
Mm-hmm. However, to peel the layers back, he was born Marion Robert Morrison. That's his birth name. And of course, he rose to fame during the golden age of Hollywood, where he also became, one of the biggest icons of the silver screen era. Now, I'll say this: the man has a very commanding screen presence. Whether or not you think he's honing in his performances or not, the dude has a screen presence. Like, he just has an aura about him. It's like you watch wrestling, you see the Undertaker just walk down the ramp to the ring.
Yeah,
the dude has a presence.
Yeah, the movie I was referring to earlier was The Quiet Man, where he plays like this Irish American boxer that comes back to Ireland to reclaim his estate or something. But like I said, so most of his movies are either war movies or westerns, and usually when he has the lead role in that movie, he does stage presence that captivates the audience to look at him.
Which, I mean, if I was John, I'd bank on that too. Kind of like The Rock. The Rock has this very similar screen presence. And then there's an internet meme where, like, so many of The Rock's movies they're all like action movies or action comedies.
Yeah, they all have the same outfit, same background.
Yeah, and each picture is a different movie. You can apply that same concept here to John Wayne's movies.
Yes, well, think about John Wayne. He did the same thing over and over again for most of his movies. And every now and then he made a real classic, for example, The Searchers, in True Grit, for example. And then as you said, he made some stinkers, especially back when his career was just beginning. But then every now and then in his heyday, he made a movie that flopped really hard. And The Conqueror was a prime example. In fact, the worst example of John Wayne's. When John Wayne goes bad, John Wayne goes bad.
Yeah, really bad. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If they were to make that movie today or take a similar concept, and just pick an actor. Michael B. Jordan is Genghis Khan in The Conqueror for 2024. That would be a career killer.
Well, here's the thing about if The Conqueror was made today as opposed to the 1950s. If it was made today, the country of Mongolia would raise an uproar by having one of their most iconic historical figures portrayed in such a manner. Even let's say it's just a fictional retelling. It's just like it would not fly today. But in the 1950s, that sort of thing didn't exist.
Well, yeah, it's such a glaring example. But not to stray too far from the topic here. Pretty much in a lot of his movies, as we've been talking about, he has an over-reliance on just familiar tropes and mannerisms. The stoic cowboy, military authority figure, or tough military man. I mean, there are so many movies where each performance is like undistinguishable from the other. Like, again, as we're talking about you could just put up a little clip of each one. You could not tell it's a different movie. I'm not just saying, like, that's the crazy thing, is he had acting ability, he had acting range, you know? He could really deliver, like, a really good performance. You know,
Well,
I mean...
The movie he won an Oscar for was actually, I think, Brett had to shoot this, but he could have won that Oscar for that as well. But I think close to True Grit, he really had to like do something completely different to his normal cowboy persona to make that movie work. Because you've seen the remake, which I think is a good movie by itself, but the one with John Wayne, like that was him. That was actually him basically going all out, while still in cowboy mode. If I had to put a phrase to that.
Very well said, Cameron. I mean, it's like, who's never an actor who gets accused of just making just the same movie and phoning it? Adam Sandler. Now, Adam Sandler, don't get me wrong, his movies are terrible. All right, like 99% of them are terrible. I mean, some of them are funny as hell, but every so often he'll take on a role. I think as recently as last year, he was nominated for an Oscar. I could be wrong.
Well, Adam Sandler. Here's the difference between John Wayne and Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler basically he found something that worked for him, and he made it work as long as possible to the point and eventually backfired. But John Wayne, he did the same thing almost, and towards the end of his career, it started to backfire on him. And he tried doing different stuff that didn't pan out for him. But he eventually got his footing back before he died when he made the Shoot Us. Well, the thing about both of them is if you give them the right script, the right motivation, and the right direction, they're great actors. They just basically what they did was they found something that worked for them. It made them money. It made the studios money, and they stuck with it until other opportunities came along.
Now the other question to ask is he phoning it in, being lazy, or he was just so good at a specific role? No, you gotta remember back in that day, they made these movies with like machine-like precision. Like if it was like little factories, they were just producing movies like every week or every couple of weeks or something. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to get into a role where in like every couple of weeks you're making another movie. You know, at some point you just have to do something that just works. I'm not saying like as an excuse. You know, there's plenty of people that have delivered really amazing performances back in that time period. Orson Welles is a pretty notable example of that. But when you're literally making a movie like as often as he was, there's only so much you can change for the role and the character. You just don't have enough time to get into it. However, it's looking at it from today's perspective. Like you said, our dad loved this guy. I mean, I can see why, but I'm like, dude, he does the same shit in every movie.
Well, I was gonna say Steven Seagal does the same exact thing in every movie. I think there's only one movie where he actually had to do something different, and that was the Liver Man. He was like still doing the same shit, but at the same time, he was doing like a different take on it. And then the other movie where I guess legitimately to say he did something different, where he was not different was Sniper Special Ops, because
he just sat in the chair the whole movie.
Yeah, he sat in the chair the whole movie, but at the same time, he was playing an actual military figure, not some guy out in the open claiming to be one.
Yeah, well, when you really think about it, a lot of even like well-known actors kind of do the same thing. Like Robert De Niro mob movie, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of similarities in his delivery, but you can say what you want about him personally, politically. He does differentiate the roles enough where, he has death and whatever. He's a really good actor. John Wick could have done that. He chose not to. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's would you consider him a bad actor, or just phoning it in?
I believe John Wayne did it all during the span of his career. At times he gave it his best. At times he just did it for the money. And then there were times he was trying to make it work, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason.
True. I mean, I don't think he's a terrible actor, and there's enough evidence to support that he's decent. But at the same time, I'm like, if I had to rate this guy's career today myself, I would call him overrated. Like I don't see it necessarily. Like, other than he does have that commanding presence on screen, which is, I guess, really all that you really need, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, how is he able to make all these movies doing the same fucking character?
Well, John Wayne was the product of his time when it came to the studio system, or Hollywood movies, I should say. And back then people didn't have televisions.
True.
And everyone had to go to the cinema to see him. So he was able to command his audience from greater numbers back in the day. And then when television came around, he never once made anything for TV.
Nope.
TV, maybe except for a spy guest show, but he ignored the television medium basically to the day he died.
This is true, and that's, I think, part of the reason why his whole persona, it just worked.
Yeah. Because
the only way you could see him was, like you said, at the theater. Now, I guess the ultimate question here before we wrap this up, this is for you, the viewing audience. It's always going to be a matter of debate until the end of time, I suppose. But is he a lazy actor, a bad actor, a great actor, iconic, overrated, phoning it in, or a combination of all the above? Ultimately, it's up to you as the viewing audience, people who come to that conclusion. Like, you heard our take on it. However, you all have to make your own take.
Well, I had to rate John Wayne myself. I want to call him the best actor. He just knew how to play the system to his advantage until his age and health issues caught up to him. But compared to some of the talent we have today, like Steven Seagal, Keanu Reeves, Adam Sandler, and any other actor that's still trying to do what John Wayne did back in the day. John Wayne literally had the charisma, the commanding presence to pull it off. People today just don't have that.
That's true. I mean, it'd be good, this is on a side note. I knew it'd be a good subject for a bad acting 101. Rob Schneider.
Oh God, Rob Schneider.
Fucking Rob Schneider. But anyhow,
Rob Schneider's carrot.
John Wayne has enough, I guess, bad acting out there where we can justify doing a bad acting one-on-one about him, especially with Conqueror.
Yeah.
However,
the Conqueror. He did the Conqueror for the most part was, if Howard Hughes was going to pay you a great deal of money, or what was a great deal of money back in the 1950s to be on screen, all you had to do was don yellow face, and act near a nuclear bomb site. John Wayne, I would take it. I would take that money, and ultimately the movie killed him. But
I mean, I'm sure I'll laugh at that, but when you think about it, it did.
But basically, John Wayne's not entirely at fault when it comes to the Conqueror. That responsibility really falls on the shoulders of Howard Hughes.
That's a system error.
Howard Hughes was a man who gave no fucks.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we could do a whole separate video because he has a significant impact in Hollywood and movies.
Mm-hmm. He has He also has a significant impact on aviation as we know it today. But Howard Hughes back in the day, he was a, I won't call him a great producer, but he pushed it, was acceptable.
He also pissed in mason jars and stuck farts out of assholes. So there's that. But anyhow.
That's better than that.
Yeah. So we're going to end our John Wayne Bad Acting 101 on that note. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, happy viewing. Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Later.
Later, people.
Sprinkling